cutting large hides is the absolute bane of every leather worker's existence since the beginning of time. How to cut your skins is the question. Where do you have enough space? What bench are you going to use? What are you going to put underneath the knife? What are you going to protect your bench with? And most importantly, what knife are you going to use? So recently I did a studio tour and I showed you guys my workbench, and it is pretty tiny, I'll be honest. It is 150 by about 50. It's a very, very small workbench. It's basically a computer desk. And since then, I've actually been getting ready to upgrade my workbench to something much, much bigger. Something that's 150, so much wider, by 72, so much deeper. So I'll have a much bigger surface area to work on, something much easier for me to get my work done. So when Ibex Ironworks over in the United States reached out to sponsor a video, the timing could not be better. I already use their I think they call it a scalpel. I think he calls it a scalpel. It's my favorite knife. It's the one I've been using most often, and I absolutely love it. So they are absolutely no strangers to me. He's an amazing craftsman. Absolutely love his work. So when he reached out to sponsor a video and wanted to send me over a pattern knife, the timing could not be better. I was sent over. I've already done a full unboxing of this. I'll put a short one of the sides. Can't remember which side I'll put it. And I love it. It reminds me of the Chronicles of Riddick. I don't know why. Absolutely love this blade. When I say they sponsored the video, they sent it over to me for review. They did not pay me to say nice things about it, so anything I say is my own thoughts. But I am super excited to show you it and to show you why I think you guys should have one in your collection. And of course, I will leave a link to where you can buy this knife in the description box below. It is $240 US, so it's quite expensive, and I guess you'll have to wait until the end to see if I think it is worth it. One of the things I think is super interesting about this blade is the fact that it's CNC cut, and that's one of the things he really wanted me to talk to you guys about, because in order for him to get the same cut every single time, it's CNC cut, which I think is super, super interesting, and a way to sort of merge traditional bladesmithing with modern equipment and modern manufacturing processes. So it's made of 15.4 cm stainless. I actually don't know what that means, but I know that it's sharp as fuck, basically. And it's hardened to a 59 Rockwell. So I looked that up, and it's actually really, really hard. But as far as I can tell from my very limited knowledge of bladesmithing, 59 Rockwell is very good. Before we go any further in the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Helps out enormously. So don't forget to smash that subscribe button. And let's get back to it. There's three and a half cut types that I've tried with this blade. I've had it for a couple of months now. I wanted to really give it a good go before I gave you guys a review, because obviously I didn't want to review this thing without being able to tell you what I really thought about it. My favorite cut I'll actually talk about second. So the cut that this is best at is the pull cut. So there's obviously three main and a 3 and a bit types of cuts when it comes to leatherwork. There's the push cut, there's the pull cut, and there's the roll/curve cut. So rolling is obviously when you roll the blade forward or backward, and the curve is where you're obviously cutting around a curved surface. One of the things that this is really, really good at is both the push and the pull. So this knife is actually really, really, I need to make sure I don't poke my eye out. This knife is really, really good at the pull cut. However, I actually prefer doing the push cut with this type of blade, because I like to hold it like this and push, as opposed to holding it like this and pulling. Now, how you like to hold your blade may be different to this, and that may change which part of this is relevant to you. But I found that the pull cut is actually really, really good with this blade. The push cut, I don't know if it's because of the geometry of it. I don't know if it's because it's tilted quite far forwards. One of the things that surprised me most about this was how big it is. It's a big blade. My hands are about normal size, and it is a big blade, so do bear that in mind. However, that does make it very, very comfortable for holding for long cutting sessions. And one of the things that is great about this knife, and the whole thing that this is designed for, is big pattern cutting. It's called a pattern knife for a reason. Pattern cutting. So you lay your full hide out on your workbench, and you proper go to work with this bad boy. You go through 3, 4, 5 mil thick leather if you're doing saddles or something. That's what this is built for. Doing little itty bitty cuts around goat skin, it's not really designed for that. So the push cut, it's less good at. Maybe that's because it depends where you put the weight. So if you put your weight in the pommel, in the base, it will glide. If you put your weight into the blade, it will stick. So you do need to keep the weight essentially off the blade and let the sharpness of the blade take over. The best way to do the push cut. With the pull cut, because it's much straighter there than it is there, it's far, far easier to do a pull cut. I think that's why. My knowledge of bladesmithing and geometry is not amazing, but I believe it's because of the curvature in the different areas of the blade. So if you're standing up and you're doing big push or pull cuts, you'll be perfectly great. If you're trying to do little itty bitty cuts around a pattern, maybe not the right blade for you to use, and instead you should use something more like a scalpel blade, which I love this thing. The roll cut is simply when you put your knife down and you roll it forwards. So if you're trying to get a perfectly straight cut down the side of your pattern, this is really, really good for that, because you line it up with one side of the pattern and then you roll it down, and that is not going to wiggle because it's a big old long blade cutting area. So I really do love that about this. Like I said, the competition of this is the Chartermade blade. If Chartermade want to send me a knife out to review, I would love to do that. So go and pester them to do that, because then I can give you a full in-depth review of that. I think the handle of this is, I'm not sure what it's called, but it feels like a sort of plasticated wood. So whether that's some sort of, I don't know what it's made of. I forgot to ask Ibex what it's made of, but I do know that it is a very, very comfortable handle. I also know that it's chunky, so it's very easy to get a really good firm grip, because that's what you want when you're putting your weight into a blade to cut a big pattern. The competition is obviously, his main competition for this blade is Chartermade. Chartermade are in South Africa. They do the very famous indispensable brass handle replacement blade, which is a lovely blade. I've got one. I don't use it as often as I should. I need to send it into repair because I dropped it, but that's my fault. They do a pattern knife, and the biggest thing I can tell the difference between the two is obviously the size and the curvature and geometry of the blade. I would love to review a Chartermade pattern knife, so go pester them to send me one, and I will do a full review of their knife. And the last thing to discuss is the price. $240. I don't know what that is in pounds. I'll put it on the screen. It's $240. Is it worth $240? I think so. I think it is worth $240 because it's been very well designed. It's got very good quality materials. The service from him is phenomenal, and you're paying for that. You're paying for service from a craftsman to make a thing. The service is very, very good. If it ever needed repair, you could send it in. My only quibble, and this may not apply to you, My only quibble is about the sharpening, because if you've ever tried to sharpen a round knife or a head knife, I think they call round knives or head knives in the US, I can't remember. But if you've ever tried to sharpen a traditional leatherworking knife, which is basically a crescent moon shape, it's very, very difficult. You might be better at it than me, so that's the only sticking point. You can strop this for days. The metal quality is very, very good. You can strop it and keep the edge really, really clean for a long, long time. Would I spend my money on it? If it wasn't sent to me, would I spend my money on it? Yes, I would. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if there's any other tools you want me to review, let me know in the description box down below. I would love to hear what you want me to review, and we'll get something sorted. Have a phenomenal weekend. Have a phenomenal week. Take care.